Good morning, y'all. I'm Catherine Ross at TheStreet. I am here on the floor of the NYSE with Jim Cramer. Jim, this morning, Elliott Management just disclosed a stake in eBay, about 4% of the company. What are your thoughts there?
Well, I do think that a lot of points that they make are very true. I didn't know classifieds were doing as well as they were. I do think that StubHub will be worth a considerable amount, maybe 11, 12 billion. I know Live Nation, if it weren't for antitrust, would buy that, I believe. Michael Rapino, very aggressive guy. The core business is undermanaged. They did miss the Wayfair and Etsy, as they point out in the letter. I think the letter made a lot of good points. eBay is chronically undervalued. I have often felt that because we own PayPal for action alerts, that it was great to be able to get away from eBay, and you see what happened. It flourished, and it's much better. So I wish Elliott good luck. I think they're right.
And I mean, I just checked right before we hopped on, and it was up about 9%. Is that a surprise?
It should be up more. I think we're in a down day, and I would buy the stock. I think that the stock is undervalued here. It would be my takeaway that you should buy eBay right now.
And you just mentioned that we're in a down day, and I'm looking, and we're down about 100 points right now. So what do you...
Oil reversed. A lot of J&J is down. Action Alert's name, I think that's ridiculous. J&J did not guide down. They did not guide down. That is nonsense. There are certain particular issues that made it so that it was totally explicable, and I think that J&J is going to keep going up after this report, not unlike what American Express did, not unlike what JP Morgan did, not unlike what Citi did. I do think that the Stanley Black & Decker was very disappointing. I was quite surprised that they lowered the boom on 2019. It was in keeping with what we heard from Sherwin-Williams and what we heard from PPG. So we got to be very careful that maybe the selling season initially isn't that great for Home Depot and Lowe's. The money instead is going to Costco. And Costco's doing incredibly well. And it remains the TJX, Costco, Burlington, Walmart are all doing incredibly well because that's the what I would regard as being the sweet spot for the consumer. Don't forget Dollar Tree and Dollar General doing well.
You wrote a column this weekend about the 5 earnings that you were looking at, and you can find it on TheStreet.com. But you just mentioned Stanley Black & Decker. That was one of the earnings that you were looking forward to most, but also Halliburton.
Very discouraged because I really felt that it was them being as negative as I've been negative on housing. It's one of the things I've been worried about, J. Powell being too aggressive. Halliburton and news could be disappointing because Halliburton was uniquely related to U.S. They have far too much U.S. Going over Schlumberger, Action Alerts Plus name, wow, they are two very different companies. What's happened is you have a lot of ETFs bringing everything down, but Schlumberger is a candidate to have to buy more, given the fact that it's absolutely much better than Halliburton. We are in a down day moment. We've been up a lot. I think people that feel that, you know what, Tony Dwyer with an interesting piece, you're talking about what bouncing that up. Ed Yardini with an interesting piece talking about how we got through this correction. We're down 19.8%, remember, and we did rally. So I say let it come in, but you're going to have to do some buying. And you know what, I think eBay's a great place to go.
Okay, so we just talked about 2 companies that reported this morning. What about the rest of the week?
Well, you know, the rest of the week, Scott, IBM better deliver. I got to tell you, they got to deliver. And they've missed a couple of quarters, and it's discouraging. I think Intel blows it away and also maybe gives you a new CEO. That would be important. I think that in general, it's going to be a decent week. I don't think it's going to be a blowout week. I do think that so far things are okay. And the trick is that there's been so many estimates that were lowered, and now you're beating the lowered estimates, which counts. It counts. Lowered estimates counts. A lot of people say, well, wait a second. Look, they were lowered before. That's not the way it works. The fact is that if you beat lowered expectations, your stocks can go high. Witness JP Morgan.
All right, let's talk about your column on China.
Yeah, China.
You say that this weakness could resolve the trade war.
Yeah, well, look, I think that there is a belief in the invincibility of China. And it turns out that if you threaten American companies with big tariffs, they're not going to just stand there and take it. They're going to move to India, to Vietnam. We saw a Foxconn story about India. Vietnam, great place to manufacture. Well, I think people underestimate Vietnam. And they are our ally, which of course is rather strange given the history. But I do believe that that China has an unemployment ratio that went up, and the unemployment rate is much higher than the U.S. I think that it's probably even understated. I do think that the Chinese, we're going over Huawei with David. Huawei does offer they offer a lot of superior product, but its superior product has got cyber terrorism connected to it, then maybe that drops off. So the Chinese are vulnerable if the rest of the world begins to agree with Trump. That has not been the case, but they're not anti-Trump as much as I thought they would be when it comes to China. Everybody's been frustrated by the demand of China to have their markets open, but not open China's market.
And I think that this directly correlates with Davos right now, because we're seeing Davos doesn't have that whole political atmosphere right now. There's not as many political leaders as there are normally. And what are you looking at in Davos?
Well, Davos, last year the big talk was the fourth industrial revolution that Mark Benioff laid out, which was kind of a picture that if you continue to innovate, too many people will be laid off. Well, it turned out that the issue is not. Although the older people are being laid off and they can't find jobs. That was a good article I can get in the journal. But, I think that Davos is going to play less of a role. What you do have is you have hedge fund managers, as usual, coming on and saying that things are negative. The end of cycle, end of days. Nice. It's a wrap.
Okay, so Johnson & Johnson is real money stock of the day, and I want to talk about this more in depth over on Action Alerts Plus because it's also a holding, but I want to get your quick takeaways here.
Well, look, J&J was at 128 last week. It rallied to 130 on the expectations that J&J would raise its forecast. J&J did not raise its forecast for a variety of reasons. We'll have full coverage in our bulletins, but I respect the fact that J&J stock is down from 145, and that's one of the reasons why I think it will be up in the end. Be up later this week, which is the process. They don't necessarily. The banks reversed immediately. I think that because the banks were down, J&J was up, so it's not as easy to reverse immediately.
All right, we're going to, as I just said, talk about Johnson & Johnson more on our Action Alerts Plus video. Thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great day.